Hello and welcome to this month's Soul Explorations with Jo. So this month I've been guided to talk to you about the vibration of the food we eat, the level of energy in the food that we eat, how we can work with that, how we can play with that to work out what food is working for us and what food isn't working for us. So thank you for joining me. I think it's important to start this session with saying I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a doctor. This is all purely a conversation about food from an energetic or a vibrational perspective. And this can be a really handy way for you to work out what food is agreeing with you and your digestive system and your energy as a whole, and what food you need to maybe have a break from or leave alone for a little while. It's another really important thing to note that just because one day a certain food isn't agreeing with you, it doesn't mean that that's always going to be the case. Our bodies and our energy is constantly changing. And so therefore it makes sense that the food that we eat and the food that our bodies need on a daily basis is going to change. So try to be open-minded as you do this. Now, if you have any allergies or even food intolerances, I would not recommend doing this. So if you know you have a severe allergy to, say, eggs, please don't go, after watching this, please don't go trying eggs without the help of your doctor or qualified medical professional. So if you're quite healthy, you know you don't have any allergies or even intolerances, then I really urge you to have some fun with this and see where it takes you. I've got a few little food samples here in front of me that we can work with, that we can play with. So the energy of food. Everything has an energy or an essence. Every single thing, whether it's living or whether it's inanimate, it all carries an energy. And the same goes for the food that we eat. So not only are we getting the nutrients and the vitamins and minerals from the food as we eat it, we are also getting the energy from that food. And so I want to encourage you to really focus on the energy of the food for this month as you're eating, as you're preparing food, as you're shopping and buying your food, as you're growing your own food even. Try and turn your attention to the energy of the food and see where it takes you. Food, like everything, it's connecting with us, it's communicating with us, and it has gifts. You know, food is a gift for us. So if you can change your perspective on that, Spirit is saying, and really learn to appreciate food for what it is as a whole, energetically and physically and nutritionally, Spirit is saying you're going to notice a huge difference. And now this is a big topic for me. I have quite a few food intolerances, and I use myself as a guinea pig often. So I will experiment with the food. So one week I will eat, say, grapes as a snack and see how my body reacts. And then I'll eat them the following week and see how my body reacts. Sometimes the food can build up in your system over extended periods of time. So it can take days or weeks even for your body to reach that physical threshold of, okay, I've had enough of that, I've got what I need from that, and your body will start to react in different ways. For me, it's usually itchy skin. It's like a hives type or an eczema type skin reaction or response. But I do notice that food is a very emotional thing for me. I'm an emotional eater, so I've been focusing on how that is affecting me energetically. So when I'm feeling even really, really happy and excited, food for me is that that tool that I use to really work with that, I guess, and do something with it through eating the food, because then I have this response to the food and it makes me, I guess, process that emotion. And so when you're eating your food, have a think about, or if you're craving a certain food, have a think about how you're feeling emotionally at that time as well, because emotions are energy. And so when we have an emotional response, it is an energetic response, really. And so if you're craving chocolate, stop and think, where are your emotions sitting at that time? Do you feel vulnerable? Do you feel sad? Do you feel anxious or even excited? What emotions are you feeling in that moment as you are sitting there and really craving that specific food? Because that emotional response can really help you to unravel the connection that you have with your food, and on an energetic sense, what that food is actually doing for you. It's helping you process your emotions. It's helping, often the energy of the food can help you to dissolve or neutralize your emotions. So these are all little things that I've started to play with. I've been playing with it for a while now, and I really wanted to use this session as an opportunity to share that with you, because I feel like food and dieting and, listening to your body, it's a really big topic at the moment. A lot of people are starting to pay more attention to what they're eating, how they're eating it, where they're sourcing their food from, how it makes them feel, how does their body respond. This is all a really big thing right now. So I want to go a bit further into that and talk about energetically how the food is impacting you and how you can work with food to help you boost your mood, or ground yourself, or do anything energetically that you would like to do. So think of food as another tool, another energetic tool that you can use on your spiritual journey. So I have with me a couple of little food items on a plate here in front of me. So I have an apple. We're going to do a little energetic exercise now with the apple. So you don't need to actually have an apple with you to be able to do this. We can do this together using my apple. But if you feel very strongly like you want to pause this and go and grab an apple and do this with me, then by all means do it. Okay, so we have this beautiful apple. And we're just going to sit and breathe while your attention is focusing on the apple. Now, this is going to be a longer version of what you can eventually learn to do really, really quickly, like in a split second. So I want you to just focus on the apple and breathe and relax. Even close your eyes and imagine an apple in your mind's eye. Imagine biting into the apple. How does that make you feel? The crunch, the sweetness. Breathe and relax as you feel into energetically what that is doing for you. Do you feel yourself energetically responding in a positive way? Or do you start to feel like you're pulling away from the apple, or the apple is pulling away from you in your mind's eye? What is happening for you now as you focus on the energy of the apple? Are you being drawn towards it, or are you being pushed away from it? And it's that whole magnetic, I guess, response. Do you feel magnetically pulled towards the apple, or do you feel like you're pushing away, but you're being repelled magnetically by the apple. And it might be really, really subtle, or it might be really blindingly obvious. And so once you've given yourself a minute or two to feel into the energy of the apple and to feel how you are responding to that energy, then you can open your eyes and we'll talk a little bit more about it. So how did you go with that? Did you find it hard? Did you find it really easy? Was your energetic reaction to the apple really obvious to you, or was it impossible to identify? It takes practice, like all spiritual practices and all meditation and any other sort of spiritual practices that we do. It takes practice and persistence and time. So if you found that was really hard now in this go, pick another food and try again. Or maybe pick a food that you know doesn't agree with you. So if you're someone who has a sensitive digestive system and you know there's a specific food that really aggravates your digestive system, or you do have a physical response to it, as long as you can hold it safely and not have an allergic reaction to it. If you can safely hold that food and then do that exercise again and see if your response to the energy of that food is more obvious or if it's the same. And so we're going to, on that note, I've got some nuts here. So you can see I've got a few little nuts, just a little handful of nuts. Lots and lots of people have some sort of reaction to nuts. They're either too hard to digest, so their digestive system can't process them, or they have a reaction to the nuts themselves, an allergic reaction. So I was guided by Spirit to use nuts as the next example, just to see if this triggers anything for people. So I'm holding the nuts. So if you're allergic to nuts, you're completely safe. Your body is not physically going to have, an anaphylactic reaction to you watching me holding these nuts. So this is going to be a really great opportunity for you to see how you energetically respond to the nuts. So we're going to do the same thing. You're going to close your eyes and you're going to breathe and you're going to relax. And we're harnessing the energy of the nuts. And Spirit is saying, different nuts have different reactions from different people. But what we're doing here energetically, what Spirit is doing, I'm being told and shown, is that although I'm holding one specific type of nut, Spirit is embodying the energy of all nuts just for the sake of this exercise as an example for us all today. So close your eyes and breathe and relax and focus on a small handful of nuts, and it can be any type of nuts. Oh, this is a big one. I can actually, my hand that's holding these nuts is starting to ache a little bit. So it's indicating that there is a lot of negative energy attached to the nuts, to all nuts, which kind of makes sense. Nuts probably gets a bad rap. It's not allowed in a lot of schools because so many people are allergic to them. And there's almost a fear of nuts as a whole, as a collective, that is coming through really, really strongly. And so we're feeling into that. And how does that make you feel? How is your energy responding as you focus on the energy of the nuts? Is it making you feel a little bit uncomfortable? A little bit nervous? Breathe and relax. Don't get attached to whatever it is you're feeling or experiencing right now. Remember, you're safe. This is an energetic exercise. And it's all for your highest good and greatest joy. So don't be afraid of any emotions or any reactions you're having as we do this. Okay, so now what happens when we shift the energy of the nuts? I'm being guided to clear that negative energy of the nuts, that fear, that the frustration. There's a lot of anger attached to the collective energy of nuts. So we're shifting that, we're releasing all of that. That's not ours. We don't need to carry that, or maybe it is ours. We don't know, we don't need to know. We're just shifting that energy, releasing, and we're bringing the pure energy of the nuts back, front and center. So that's what we can tune into, that's what we can feel into. Breathe and relax. Focus on the energy of the nuts now that we've shifted all that energy. All we have left is the pure energetic form of the nuts, the original energetic form of the nuts as nature intended. And how is that making you feel? What sort of response is your body having now? That was a really interesting exercise. And I think it highlights how powerful our projected energy can be. So we have the ability to project energy and emotion, excuse me, onto other people, other things, food. And so once we can identify that and shift that and tune into the energy of the food itself rather than the energy that has become attached to the food through other people's fears or dislikes or whatever it might be, the energetic response is very, very different. There's a really noticeable shift in how I felt myself respond to the energy of the nuts before and after shifting that projected energy. And so Spirit is saying now, if you live with other people, whether you're, flatmates or whether you live with family, partners, children, other loved ones, other people and their tastes and their needs as far as food goes, when you're all living together and you share the same fridge and pantry, even the same garden, if you've got herbs or a veggie garden or fruit trees or whatever, a lot of that projected energy can go into the food. If you're in a sort of a communal space with other people, you're not just living on your own. And so Spirit is saying if you feel like you're reacting lately to all foods, then focus on that. Focus on what energy has that food absorbed from the people around you, from the space around you. And so maybe do an energy cleanse of your fridge, of your pantry, of your veggie garden, of your fruit tree. And you energetically cleanse food exactly the same way as you would energetically cleanse yourself or your room, a room that you're in, or your workspace, or the land that you are on and that you're feeling connected to. It's all through your intention. That's all you need. Spirit is saying that's all you need, is your intention to cleanse the food. And you can get really fancy with it, and you can, as you're, say, rinsing an apple under the water to clean it before you're eating it, you can bring that intention in there, and you can energetically cleanse the apple while you're washing it before you eat it. And that will help you. You can go even further and you can, pop a couple of crystals in your fridge or in your pantry to help shift the energy and cleanse everything that's in there. Whatever feels right for you is right for you. So if somebody else is using a technique and they swear by it, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the right thing for you. So you might just open your fridge door and stand in front of it and just breathe and feel the energy and set the intention that all negative energy, all old energy, anything that is not the food's original energy is all going to be shifted and cleared. And it can be as simple as that. So maybe give that a go. I'm actually going to do that myself after this for my own fridge. Not that I feel like I've got much going on for myself at the moment as far as reacting to food or responding to food. But everything can always do with a good energetic cleanse. So I'm going to do it. So if you do that and you have a play with it and you notice a difference or you don't notice a difference, I'd really love to know. I'd love you to tell me in the comments. Excuse me, I get so croaky when I do energy work. Sorry for the clearing of the throat. So the next thing Spirit has asked me to use for some energy work for us today is this beautiful herb sprig. So most people have some sort of herb in their garden, whether it's just a little bit of parsley even. They're so easy to grow. They are so easy to use. You can just pick off some fresh stuff and chuck it in a salad or in your stir fry or in your wrap or your salad roll or whatever. They're so versatile. You can even just pick a sprig. Like I'll put this in a little jar on my bench top so we can smell it and it'll fill the house with the aroma for the next few days. And I'll use it in my cooking as well. So herbs are a really beautiful food source. They have a very potent energy. So if you want to experiment some more with connecting with the energy of food and seeing how you respond energetically to the food, and you're having trouble with kind of the everyday food stuffs, like fruits and vegetables, meat, whatever, go for herbs. Go and find yourself a beautiful little sprig of some sort of herb, any sort of herb, and have a play with that. See how you go with that. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Just the other day, I was making a frittata for my family to keep in the fridge to cut up for lunches and snacks and things. And my son he's 12 years old, and he happened to be sitting at the kitchen bench as I was doing it. And I thought to myself, I'm going to let him pick the herbs for this one. So I have a heap of dried herbs in the cupboard. So I just pulled out a whole heap of different varieties of dried herbs and spices. And I said to him, take the lid off, breathe it in, and tell me which ones we're going to be using, simply through inhaling the aroma of the herbs and the spices. And so he did. He took the lid off each one and he breathed it in, and straight away he's like, nope, yes, nope, yes. Kids are so in tune, they're so intuitive. And so if we can do little things like this to help them harness that intuition and work with that intuition and trust that intuition, then we're going to have some very happy, very switched on energetically kids. So he chose his herbs and spices and I put them in the frittata, and he's not usually one for frittata. He doesn't usually like them. He'll eat it, but he doesn't really enjoy it. But I tell you what, he loved this one. I gave him a slice in his lunchbox the next day, and I asked him when he got home from school how he went with it, and he said it was actually really yummy. And I honestly believe it was the energy of the herbs and the spices that he'd chosen, that his body was telling him that he needed at that time, that made it so yummy for him. So have a play with herbs and spices and see how you go with it. Another thing Spirit wants me to address is the energy of biscuits and cakes and chocolates. I'm not into shaming people for making choices with what they want to eat, how they want to eat it. I myself have Let's just say I have a little chocolate addiction. I love my chocolate. I have trouble saying no to chocolate, and I feel like it gives me sometimes an emotional crutch. So I feel like the energy of the chocolate, it supports me when I'm feeling nervous or even excited and really happy. The energy of the chocolate kind of, it matches that. It matches that energy, and it props me up, and it kind of helps me work with that energy and do something with that energy and that emotion. And so I'm not going to sit here and say you can't eat chocolate, you can't eat biscuits, you can't eat cake, or whatever, vice it is that you've got. What I want to do, what Spirit is guiding me to do, is to connect with the energy of this type of food and see how it makes you feel. You might have a big revelation as we do this. You might have a big light bulb moment and go, oh my gosh, I now know why I'm so attached to this food. Or it might trigger a very strong emotional response, and you might find yourself starting to get upset, starting to cry. Please remember, this is all energy work, so I really want to encourage you to not get attached to however you respond or react to this session. So if you start getting really emotional and you can feel the tears starting to come, please don't fight those tears. Please don't choke them back down. Please just let the tears roll down your face and acknowledge this for the beautiful healing moment that it is. Okay, let's do it. So we're tuning into the energy of the sugary, sweet food. Breathe and relax. Now I want you to bring lots of joy into your heart as you do this. Think of someone you love dearly. Think of a place you love dearly. Think of a favourite song. Try and summon as much joy as you possibly can as you focus on this food. So what we're doing, Spirit is saying, is we're shifting the way you energetically connect with this type of food. And as that joy energy comes in, I can feel any attachments to this food, they're being released, they're letting go. So through harnessing joy in your heart, you are releasing the attachments to this food. It's quite liberating. It's a beautiful feeling. Wow, that was... So if you didn't feel much then, totally fine. Not everyone feels everything when we do this sort of energy work. But I hope that you got some ideas and inspiration from this session. I hope that this has inspired you to play with food and to think about food in a different way to what you usually would. And if you find that as you experiment with this further in the coming days, if you find that you're having some really big moments and you're noticing some changes in your physical self, I'd love to hear about it. And if I'm going to do the same, and if I have some beautiful big moments, or even if I have, if I'm sort of playing with it, or if you're playing with it and you don't feel like much is happening at all, I'd love to hear that too. Let's tweak this, let's work with this and see what we can do with it to help you, to enhance your well-being, your happiness, your overall health. So I hope you enjoyed this session. I certainly did. I'm very passionate about food, so this was great fun. I will see you all again next month. Take care. Bye.